The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and Ethan stepped out, straightening his only decent shirt, the one he ironed 3 times that morning because today mattered more than anything. This interview was his shot, his chance, his break. He'd spent months applying everywhere, skipping meals to save bus fare, writing cover letters on a borrowed laptop. And now he finally had an interview at Stonewall Industries, one of the biggest companies in the city. He kept replaying the words in his head. Be confident. Be calm. Don't mess this up. He checked the time. 10:05 a.m. His interview was at 10:30. I'm early. Good. He walked toward the reception desk, then suddenly stopped. Because from the corner of his eye, he saw a girl. Not just any girl. A young woman around 19, sitting on the floor in the hallway, hugging her knees, shoulders shaking with silent tears. Her hair was messy like she'd been running. Her skirt was torn. She looked terrified. Everyone else walked past her. Executives in suits. Interns carrying files. Receptionists on their phones. But nobody stopped. Ethan's heart clenched. Something's wrong. He walked toward her slowly. Hey, are you okay? She lifted her head, and he froze. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Lip trembling. Hands shaking like leaves in wind. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Please, please don't call security. Ethan blinked. Why would I? She hugged her knees tighter. I'm not supposed to be here, she whispered. His voice softened. Did someone hurt you? She nodded, barely. Some guy came up to me outside the building. More tears spilled. He tried to grab my bag and pull me into his car. I ran. I don't know what to do. Ethan felt anger rise hot in his chest. Hey, he said gently, lowering himself to her level. You're safe now, okay? I'm right here. She wiped her face with the back of her sleeve, still trembling. I don't know where he went. I think he followed me. I'm so scared. Ethan held out his hand. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. Lobby security is right down the hall. She recoiled instantly. No, please, don't make a scene. I don't want anyone to know. I just need a minute. Her fear wasn't fake. Her shaking wasn't fake. This girl was broken open in front of him, and everyone else chose not to look. But Ethan couldn't be like them. He sat next to her on the floor. I won't leave you here alone, he said quietly. You don't have to tell me your story. You don't have to explain anything. Just breathe. For a long moment she did. Slowly, shakily, painfully. He handed her his water bottle. She drank with trembling hands. Thank you, she whispered. What's your name? He asked gently. Lila. I'm Ethan. She nodded weakly. You were going to the 21st floor, right? She asked. He blinked. How did you know that? She glanced at the folder in his hand. Your interview packet. He laughed nervously. Oh, right. Her eyes softened a little. Don't you need to go? Interviews don't wait. He hesitated, then shook his head. You need me more. Lila looked at him like nobody had ever chosen her needs over their own. Really, you can go, she whispered. I'll be fine now. But something about the way she said it felt hollow. He shook his head again. No, I'm staying. And he did. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15. Until she finally calmed enough to stand. He helped her up gently. You sure you're okay? She nodded. I owe you, she whispered. No one else even looked at me. He smiled softly. You don't owe me anything. She stared at him a long moment, like she was memorizing him, then whispered, You're a good person, Ethan. Before he could answer, Hey, you, a voice exploded down the hall. A tall, stone-faced woman in a navy suit marched toward them, receptionist badge swinging. Her eyes flared the moment she saw Lila. There you are, the woman snapped. Your father is furious. You ran off again. Lila froze. Ethan blinked. Father? The woman's eyes shifted to Ethan. And you, she hissed. What are you doing with her? Ethan stepped back, confused. I was just helping. She was crying. You touched her, the woman snapped. You approached her without permission? What? No, that's not what. You need to leave this building right now. Ethan's stomach dropped. I'm here for an interview. The woman scoffed. Not anymore. Lila's face drained of color. No, wait. He didn't do anything wrong. But the woman grabbed her arm. Your father will deal with this. Ethan felt cold. Who is her father? The woman glared. The CEO, Mr. Stonewall. Ethan's heart crashed into his ribs. The CEO's daughter. The girl he helped. The girl he stayed with. The girl he chose over the interview. Security arrived within seconds. Escort him out, the woman ordered. No, don't. Lila cried. He helped me. Please, don't punish him. But they didn't listen. They grabbed Ethan by the arms. Sir, you're trespassing. What? No. I was just. Take him outside, the woman snapped. And put him on the blacklist. He is never to apply here again. Ethan felt the whole world tilt sideways. His chance. His future. His opportunity. Gone. All because he helped a stranger in pain. As security dragged him toward the elevator, he looked back one last time. Lila's eyes were filled with terror and guilt. Ethan, she cried. I'm sorry, this is my fault. I'll fix this. I promise. The doors closed, and Ethan stood outside the building minutes later. Unemployed. Rejected. Banned. Because he'd chosen kindness over ambition. He took a shaky breath and whispered to himself, I'd still do it again. He didn't know. He couldn't know. That upstairs. Lila stormed straight into her father's private office. And what happened next would turn the entire company upside down. The moment Lila burst into the executive wing, every assistant in sight flinched. Her hair was still messy, her eyes still red, and her hands were still shaking from fear and anger. But she didn't stop. She shoved open the frosted glass doors to the CEO's private office. Doors no one dared touch without permission. Dad, the voice that usually made the entire floor fall silent cracked with panic. Mr. Stonewall. Gray temples, stone-cold posture. The type of man who built empires with a pen and destroyed careers with a sentence. Looked up sharply from a board agenda. Lila. His voice softened for a split second, then hardened. What were you thinking running off like that? The building went into a partial lockdown. You can't disappear like. Stop. Her voice sliced through the office like lightning. The guards outside froze. Executives in the hall went still. No one, absolutely no one, spoke to him like that. Lila stepped forward, furious tears trembling at the corners of her eyes. You let them drag out the wrong person, she snapped. He didn't do anything wrong. Mr. Stonewall stood slowly. Who? Ethan, she breathed. He helped me. Her father frowned. The man security removed? He was harassing you. No, she almost screamed. He saved me. The CEO stiffened. What do you mean saved you? She swallowed. Her voice cracked. Someone tried to pull me into a car outside the building. She hugged herself with shaking arms. I ran inside. I was terrified. I sat in the hallway and cried for 15 minutes. Hundreds of employees walked past me. Executives, managers, senior staff. She met her father's eyes. But only one person stopped. Mr. Stonewall's fingers tightened on the edge of his desk. Ethan, she whispered. The man your guards just threw out like garbage. He blinked. Slowly. Dangerously slowly. Why? He asked through clenched teeth. Didn't no one inform me of this? Because, she said bitterly. Your staff was too busy assuming he was the problem. Mr. Stonewall stared at her, chest rising and falling with barely restrained rage. Are you telling me, he said quietly, that a young man helped you in distress, and my employees dragged him out, blacklisted him, and threatened him for helping you? His voice dropped to a dead, icy whisper. Where is the head of security? The guards outside stiffened as he pressed a button on the phone. Get him in here. Now. Lila stepped forward, voice trembling. Dad, he was so kind. He didn't even want to leave me. He chose to stay even though he had an interview upstairs. Mr. Stonewall froze. He looked at her slowly. What interview? With your company, she whispered brokenly. He was applying for a junior project position. The CEO's jaw clenched. And because he helped you. He missed it. She nodded. And security escorted him out, he added. She nodded again, tears slipping down her cheeks. A silence heavy enough to crush the room settled. Mr. Stonewall reached for his phone with hands shaking not from fear, but from fury. Find the man who was removed from the lobby 10 minutes ago. Name, Ethan. His voice was a growl. Bring him back immediately. I don't care if you have to chase him down the street. Lila exhaled with relief. But then her father whispered something that made her heart stutter. And whoever authorized his blacklisting. He straightened to his full height. Is fired. Today. Before she could answer, the door burst open. The head of security rushed in, sweating. Sir. Mr. Stonewall didn't let him speak. You removed an innocent man, he said, voice low but lethal. You humiliated someone who helped him, my daughter. You dragged out a man she needed. The guard stammered. We thought. You didn't think, Stonewall snapped. You assumed. You profiled. You abused your authority. And you endangered my daughter. Stonewall leaned forward. You're finished here. The man's face fell as security escorted him out, the irony almost poetic. Lila whispered, Dad, what if Ethan won't come back? Mr. Stonewall turned to her, and the cold CEO melted into a father terrified of losing his little girl. He'll come back, he said softly. Your father is going to make this right. But as the minutes passed, and the search went on, a new dread crept in, the kind that made Lila's lip tremble, the kind that made the CEO pace. Because Ethan, hurt, humiliated, heartbroken, had walked far from the building by now, far enough that the guards were struggling to find him. Mr. Stonewall clenched his jaw. He helped my daughter, he muttered. And my company punished him. Lila whispered, Dad, what if he thinks we're monsters? He looked at her gently. Then I'll show him we're not. Just then, one of the guards rushed back through the elevator. Sir, we found him. Lila's breath caught. Mr. Stonewall straightened. Bring him up, he ordered. No, sir, the guard said breathlessly. You don't understand, he's downstairs. Downstairs. Stonewall frowned. Yes, sir, the guard swallowed. In the lobby, talking to a little girl. Lila blinked. A little girl? The guard nodded. Yes, miss. She fell. He was helping her tie her shoe. Lila's heart dropped. He helped again. Again. Even after what happened. Stonewall whispered. He didn't even leave the building. Lila smiled softly through tears. He's the same kind of person everywhere. Stonewall headed for the elevator. Bring him to my office, he said, voice full of something rare. Respect. No, Lila said quietly. Stonewall looked at her, surprised. I'm going to bring him, she whispered. She wiped her face, straightened her clothes, and stepped into the elevator. When the doors closed, Stonewall whispered into the empty room. A young man who helps strangers, even at the cost of his own future. He exhaled deeply. Is exactly the kind of man I want working beside me. Ethan stood in the lobby holding the little girl's hand, tying the bunny ear loop in her shoelace as she sniffled. There, he said gently. All fixed. No more tripping, okay? She nodded, wiping her cheeks. Thank you, she whispered. He smiled softly. No problem. Just be careful, kiddo. He stood up and dusted off his knees, the whole time completely unaware that 2 guards, 3 receptionists, and the entire security team were staring at him like he'd just performed a miracle. One guard whispered, This guy, seriously? After we kicked him out. Another muttered, He didn't leave the building. He stayed to help a child. A third sighed, I kind of feel like garbage now. Before Ethan could walk toward the exit again, a soft voice said, Ethan. He turned. The breath left his lungs. It was Lila. Her hair was neatly brushed now, tears gone, face still pale, but steadier. Eyes shining with something he didn't expect. Gratitude, and guilt, and hope, all tangled together. She stepped closer. You didn't leave, she whispered. Ethan shrugged awkwardly. The little one tripped and I couldn't just walk past. Lila breathed out slowly. You really are unbelievable. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. I promise I didn't mean to cause trouble. I know, she said quickly, voice full of honesty. I know you didn't. And I'm sorry. For everything. You don't have to be. Yes, she insisted. I do. She took a shaky breath. Please come with me. Ethan blinked. Why? Because my father wants to meet you. He froze. The CEO? He knows about all this. She nodded. And you're not in trouble. I swear it. Just trust me. Ethan hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to run. But something in her eyes, something raw, something honest, made him nod. Okay, he whispered. She led him past the stunned reception staff, past the glass elevators, through the executive doors that most people would never get to see in their lifetime. The ride up was silent. Not awkward. Just heavy. When the elevator opened, Ethan felt suddenly underdressed, out of place, and painfully aware of the wine stained still on his shirt from comforting Lila earlier. She touched his arm gently. It's okay, she whispered. You're not here to impress him. They stepped into the luxurious executive hallway. And waiting at the end, Mr. Stonewall, the CEO, the man who built a skyscraper out of ambition, the man whose handshake was worth more than entire companies. He stood there in silence, hands behind his back, analyzing Ethan the way only powerful men do. Ethan froze. But Mr. Stonewall did something nobody expected. He bowed his head. Ethan's eyes widened. Lila nearly exhaled in relief. Mr. Hale, Stonewall said quietly. If anyone owes an apology today, it is me. Ethan blinked, stunned. Yes, sir, you don't need to. I do, Stonewall cut in firmly. My daughter was in danger today. You helped her. You comforted her. You stayed with her when she was terrified. His voice dropped. And instead of thanking you, my staff punished you. Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't help her for a reward, sir. I just… Exactly, Stonewall whispered. That's why you deserve one. Ethan blinked. Reward? Stonewall gestured toward his office. Come in. We have much to discuss. Lila gave Ethan an encouraging nod. Inside the CEO's office, the city skyline glowed behind glass walls. Ethan stood awkwardly near the door, feeling small under the weight of the room. Stonewall stepped closer. Son, he began, and Ethan flinched, not used to being called something so warm. Let me tell you something I've learned after 40 years in business. He held Ethan's gaze. You cannot teach integrity. You cannot force empathy. You cannot train someone to care. Ethan listened, heart pounding. But you, Stonewall continued, chose to help when everyone else walked past. You did it knowing it might cost you your interview. And it did. Ethan looked down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin anything. Stonewall shook his head. You didn't ruin anything. You revealed everything. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? Stonewall stepped behind his desk and pulled out a folder. He opened it. Inside was Ethan's resume and a contract. Stonewall slid it across the desk. Ethan stared. This. His voice cracked. This is a job offer, Stonewall said softly. Full benefits. Immediate start. Salary higher than the position you applied for. And a mentorship directly under me. Ethan's breath hitched. I can't accept this, he whispered. I didn't do anything special. Stonewall smiled. Then you truly don't understand kindness. But then Lila stepped forward. She placed a gentle hand on Ethan's arm and whispered, You chose me over everything you wanted. That's not normal, Ethan. That's extraordinary. Ethan swallowed hard, tears threatening. Stonewall closed the folder and pushed it toward him. I want people like you beside my daughter. And I want people like you inside my company. Ethan's voice broke. But why me? Stonewall softened, really softened, for the first time. Because men who protect my daughter, he whispered, are the kind of men I trust with my empire. The words hit Ethan like thunder. He looked between them, the CEO who saw his worth, and the girl whose fear turned into gratitude. Lila whispered, You helped me when no one else did. Now let us help you. Ethan's eyes burned with tears. Slowly he nodded. I'd be honored. Stonewall exhaled, relieved. Welcome to Stonewall Industries. Lila smiled, the first real smile since the morning. Ethan felt his whole life shift. A choice he made out of pure heart had changed his entire future. But little did he know, there was one more twist coming. One that neither he nor Lila saw coming. One that would bind their lives together far more than a job offer ever could. Lila stood quietly beside her father's desk, while Ethan signed the final page of his new contract. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something deeper. A feeling he hadn't felt in years. Hope. When he finally set the pen down, Mr. Stonewall reached out and shook his hand. Congratulations, Ethan, he said warmly. You earned this. Ethan tried not to tear up, but emotion tightened his throat. Thank you, sir. Truly. Lila smiled softly, watching him with a look Ethan couldn't quite understand. Something gentle, something grateful, something more. But just as the relief settled, Mr. Stonewall's expression shifted. Not colder, but heavier. There's something the two of you need to talk about, he said quietly. Lila stiffened. Dad. Stonewall held up a hand. He deserves to know. Ethan frowned. What do I need to know? Lila swallowed. Her fingers started to shake again, the same way they had when he found her crying in the hallway. Let's step outside, she whispered. Ethan nodded, sensing the weight in her voice. They walked out onto the rooftop terrace, floor-to-ceiling windows behind them, the city humming softly below. The wind blew through her hair as she hugged her arms to her chest. Ethan stood beside her, confused, gentle. Lila, what's going on? Her voice trembled. That man who tried to pull me into the car. She looked down, tears forming. That wasn't random. Ethan blinked. What do you mean? She inhaled shakily. He's been following me. Ethan felt the ground shift. For how long? He whispered. Months, she said, voice breaking. But I didn't tell my dad. I didn't want him to go crazy or lock me out of my own life. She wiped her eyes with trembling fingers. You weren't supposed to see me like that. I always pretend I'm fine. I always pretend nothing scares me. Her voice grew quieter. But this morning, he cornered me, grabbed my wrist, tried to force me into the car. I ran as fast as I could and just collapsed in the hallway. Ethan felt a storm inside his chest. Lila, I'm so sorry. She shook her head quickly. No, don't apologize. You saved me. You were the only person who stopped. Ethan swallowed hard. I just did what anyone should have done. Lila looked up sharply, pain flashing in her eyes. No, Ethan. That's the thing. Nobody else did. Tears ran down her cheeks. Do you know how many people walked by me? How many stared but kept going? How many saw me on the floor and pretended I wasn't there? Ethan clenched his jaw. I would never ignore someone who needs help. I know, she whispered. I know you wouldn't. That's why I. She stopped. Why you what? Ethan asked gently. Her cheeks flushed. Why I feel safe with you, she whispered. Ethan's breath caught. Lila looked away, embarrassed. Today was supposed to ruin your life. I know that. You lost your interview because of me. You were dragged out because of me. But, even after all that, you stayed to help that little girl in the lobby. Ethan smiled faintly. She needed help. Lila's eyes softened again. You always say that like it's normal. She stepped closer. It's not normal, Ethan. It's rare. For a moment, they just stood there. The wind, the city, two strangers whose lives crashed into each other in the worst moment, and somehow made something good. Then she whispered, Can I tell you something else? Of course. Her voice cracked. I wasn't just scared of the man. Ethan frowned. What else scared you? She looked up, tears in her lashes. I was scared my dad would accuse whoever helped me. I was scared he'd ruin someone's life trying to protect mine. I was scared someone innocent would get hurt because of me. Ethan exhaled softly. Hey, look at me. She did. You didn't ruin anything. Your fear didn't hurt me. Your father didn't ruin me. No matter what happened today, I don't regret helping you. Not for a second. Her lip trembled. Why? She whispered. You barely knew me. Ethan smiled. That soft, warm smile that had calmed her in the hallway. You didn't need to be known to deserve kindness. Lila couldn't stop the tears this time. She stepped forward, slowly, until she was close enough that Ethan could feel her shaking. Then she whispered, Thank you for finding me when everyone else didn't. Ethan's throat tightened. You found me too, he said quietly. She blinked. How? He glanced back through the glass toward the CEO's office. Because no one has ever fought for me the way you did today. The truth settled between them like something fragile and electric. She took a deep breath and smiled through her tears. I guess we saved each other. Ethan nodded. Yeah, I guess we did. The rooftop door creaked open. Mr. Stonewell stepped out, watching them with an expression Ethan had never seen before. Pride, gratitude, maybe even acceptance. He walked up to Ethan and extended his hand again. Welcome to the family, son. Ethan froze. Lila's cheeks went red. Stonewall laughed softly. Not that kind of family. Not yet. Lila covered her face with her hands. Ethan turned red. Stonewall continued, chuckling. But after today, I trust you with something more important than my company. He pulled Lila gently into his side. I trust you with her. Ethan swallowed hard. I won't fail that, he whispered. I know, Stonewall said softly. That's why I'm giving you this. He handed Ethan a small envelope. Ethan opened it slowly. Inside, a handwritten note offering him a full scholarship to finish his degree, sponsored personally by the CEO. Ethan's breath left his body. Sir, I can't. You can, Stonewall said gently. And you will. Lila smiled through her tears. You deserve it. Ethan exhaled shakily, overwhelmed, emotional, stunned. Everything he lost today was restored. Everything he feared was given back to him. And everything he didn't know he needed found him on a hallway floor beside a crying stranger. He looked at Lila. She looked back with soft, grateful eyes. And in that quiet rooftop moment, two lives changed forever. If this story touched your heart, share it. Because kindness doesn't always wear a smile, and heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes, they walk in covered in dust, carrying stories that could change your heart forever.